This Flutter app shows me the width and height of this window in pixels. In a mobile app, this would be the screen width and screen height. This container here is set up to always be half the height of this window, and this one is set up to always be quarter the height of this window. This container is set up to always be half the width of this window, and this one is set up to always be quarter the width of this window. When I resize this window, you can see that these figures change, and also the dimensions of these containers change. If I do the same thing to the height of the window, you can see that the figures change and the height of these containers change. Also, when I zoom out and zoom in, these dimensions change. And this is because these are logical pixel sizes rather than actual pixel sizes. Let me show you how to obtain these screen dimensions like this, and how to use these screen dimensions to set the sizes of widgets as I've done with these containers. We start off with a blank app. There's nothing inside our app but a blank scaffold. The first thing we'll do is display the dimensions of this window in text form. And for that, we're going to create a column inside the body of this scaffold. And inside this column, we are going to put the text widgets. Now we're going to put in the text widget that will show the actual width of the window. And for this text value, we're going to use a special statement known as MediaQuery. Let me minimize this window here. So this is the special statement that gives us the width of our window size. Of course, I've wrapped it in this so that we can convert it to a string, and then add the suffix px. Let's apply some styling to it and move on to the height. For the height, we're going to use a statement similar to this, but instead of width here, we shall have height. Let's apply styling to this. Let's save and rebuild our app. And here is our rebuilt app. We can see that the width of this window is 250 pixels and the height is 386.5 pixels. Remember, these are logical pixels and not actual screen pixels. So if we resize this window, we can see that the width increases, and if we reduce the height of this window, we can see that the height value also changes. The next thing I want us to do is add some containers to this app and use these values we get from the MediaQuery to set the dimensions of these containers. Are you enjoying this video so far? Consider liking it and subscribing to this channel. Let's go on. We'll start with containers whose height will be defined or will be based on the height of the window. And we are going to put these containers right next to this column. So we'll wrap this column inside a row and then put containers next to this column inside this row. For our row, we'd like everything to start from the left end of the screen. And so we're going to set the cross-axis alignment property to start. To learn more about the row and the alignment properties of the row, check out my row video. We'll set the height of this container to half the height of the window. So we're going to use the same MediaQuery statement and then multiply it by half. We're going to add a sized box for spacing right below this container, then add our second container whose height will be quarter the height of the window. This MediaQuery returns a double, and that is why we are able to use it directly inside the height property or the width property of a widget. So let's save and rebuild this app. And here is our rebuilt app. Let's quickly add a sized box for spacing between this container and this column with our text. Save and rebuild this. And now here is our rebuilt app. We can see that we now have two containers, the first of which is half the height of this window, and the second of which is quarter the height of this window. If we change the height of this window, we can see that these dimensions change accordingly. Let's now add containers whose width will be determined by the width of the window. And we're going to do that right below this row. And so for that, we'll need to wrap this row inside a column. And then underneath this row, we'll add sized boxes for spacing, as well as our colored containers whose width will be based on the width of the window. And for this column, since we want everything to start from the left end of the window, we're going to set the cross-axis alignment to start. So to learn more about the column and the alignment options available, check out my column video. This time we are setting the width of the container to the width of the window using the MediaQuery. We are going to multiply this width by half. Let's now add our second container. And this one we will multiply by quarter the width of the window. Let's save and rebuild our app. And now we have these containers whose widths are dependent on the width of the window. So if we resize this window, we can see that their widths change accordingly. And if we reduce the size of this window, we can see that their widths reduce as well. So that's how you obtain screen size in Flutter. If you have any questions, post them in the comments and I will help you out. If you have any other comments, post them in the comments as well. And if you have found value in this video, be sure to like it and send it to someone who you think would find it helpful as well. And subscribe to this channel with the notifications turned on so that you get notified each time I upload a new video. This is the Flutter Coach, and I will see you in the next one.